But it might have gotten there.
Yeah, it was a battle, but I made it.
But the offer.
Session beginning and the end. If needed, okay.
Good evening. Today is Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. I now call the Fairfield Township Board of Trustees meeting to order. Ms. Schultz, we call the roll, please.
Trustee Birding.
Present.
Trustee Harkemeyer. Here. Trustee Maccabee.
Here. Before we have Pastor Cecil Day come up to the podium, I would like to ask if we could observe a moment of silence honoring fallen Hamilton firefighter Brandon Hudson, who was a member of our fire department. I believe he began his career as a Fairfield Township firefighter. So if you could please have a moment of silence honoring Brandon Hudson. Thank you. Pastor Day.
God, we thank you for your blessings today. We thank you for those who serve, those who are undertaking the role to protect our community, Father. We thank you for their sacrifice. Your word tells us that there's no greater love than that we would be willing to lay down our life for a friend. Father, we thank you for those who do indeed place themselves in harm's way every day that protect us. Father, we ask for your blessing this evening on the meeting, ask for your wisdom and guidance in what decisions to be made. In your name we pray. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Day. Okay, the first item on the agenda is executive session in accordance to ORC 121.22 G1 to consider the employment or compensation of a public employee or official, and ORC 121.22 G4 for the purpose of reviewing bargaining sessions with FOP concerning their compensation and other terms and conditions of their employment. I move we move into executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Obviously, we'll continue the rest of the meeting once we convene back from executive session. Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding.
Yes?
Trustee Harkemeyer.
Yes.
Trustee Maccabee.
Yes.
That motion passes. We convene an executive session at 7:03 p.m.
If I was you, I would go home.
They told me to go home.
Yeah, right, they told me to go home. Have a good night. Everyone should be excited about budgets. Are you? Good. You get to spend money after we approve it. That looks like a bunny rabbit hat instead of a Santa hat.
Good, all right. How you been? Good, good to see you. Life's good. Very good. You all ready? All ready for Christmas. Ready? You're ready. Every year, our kids are gone, so that, softens the blow. They're at the age of have to watch time, do what they want. It's a lot. I remember the days. Yeah. Yeah, mine are 28%. The youngest, 20, 15 years, so we've been paying it off, so that's part of that's part of the Christmas break. For 24, getting married in August, so.
Your kids go to Fairfield? 14, freshman building? Same as my daughter. Do they know each other? Did we figure that out at the?
Yeah, that one day,
That's right.
there was Zoe,
Yes, that's
my
right.
son,
That's
she
right.
knew your daughter
That's right, okay.
from the car show.
Yes. Yes, we are. I can't turn it off because I didn't turn it back on. That's true.
Good move,
They can hear you
but
though.
it's still recording.
Yeah,
Sounds
they can
correct.
still hear you.
Correct.
It's not seeing us, it's just hearing us. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Getting married in August. You say when over there? Where in Columbus? She was in Columbus. No, actually, the youngest is the first one.
Oh,
She's 28, getting married.
okay.
My oldest is 31. Been through a couple heartbreaks, but, sooner or later,
Are they both girls?
both girls.
So you got expensive weddings coming up.
I can tell you this one is she's very frugal and efficient,
Oh, lovely,
but
but
there was So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, she's kind of surprised, us, so,
We're prepared for all that.
well, you have to be.
Yeah.
And so now we told the oldest, whenever it's your turn, you know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. That's funny, because I'm very frugal like that too, but I would not spend that much money on a wedding. They will learn when they get older that they would rather have the money for bills or,
28th Street, oh, my daughter, she said, she got married last month.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, we had all three of our kids, my partner and I, all three of our girls got married.
oh my gosh, you had 3 weddings?
April, September, and my daughter surprised us and then we got the wedding.
Wow.
Gosh.
Yeah. It was wild.
3 daughters in 1 year, I can't imagine.
The one was in California and the one was like a 3 day event.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was crazy. But then my kids, too, so like, I'll take everybody home to dinner and do that.
Yeah.
So she kind of,
That's one
she
thing,
didn't spend anything, he paid for it, she was gonna buy it.
yeah,
Uh,
that's the one thing I regret. I wish I wouldn't have wasted that much money on a wedding.
Yeah.
I was young, I was like 20, and thought that was the big thing. Well, 20 years later, the divorce was more expensive.
But you can't think of it then about the divorce.
That's true, but I wish I would have, my dad said, I'll give you this amount of money, you choose to do with it. I wish I'd have put it on a down payment on a house or something instead of a wedding. Like that wedding's done and over with in a day.
Yeah.
Or 3 days.
Or 3, yeah.
But, you know, it's so different, you know, now, you know, you dare have you a, like, bachelorette party around your.
Right, you gotta travel for it, now you have to have gender reveal parties, and everyone wants a reason to celebrate, spend money.
I guess good for business, man.
Then you, well, this people want to hold that.
Yeah.
I mean, not me, because I'm not spending.
I'm cheap, so I'm fortunate that way.
Right.
No, I'm cheap. That's what everybody would say about me. Chief, do we do BCI background check at our station?
BCI?
Yeah,
No.
okay. I need one for being a notary, and it said some police stations do them, so I have to look up which ones do. Someone told me Middletown does and Oxford does.
Okay,
But I was like, well, if we did, it'd be a little easier, but
yeah, no.
Yeah, Butler County does it? I saw downtown there was.
I don't know. I have to look up some places. I just started researching it today because,
I think Butler County does, because we send our guys, when we hire them, to go there.
to go over there, okay. Yeah. I know. And you can't use the same one you use for conceal and carry or anything, which I thought I would be able to use the same one, but it says you can't. Okay. Just another reason to pay for one.
Get that money.
Right. Of course.
I had to do mine at my OSP in Columbus. It wasn't even anywhere else.
Really?
For my,
All the way to Columbus. Wow.
for like literally like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
No,
So you want for Ohio State?
yeah, I work at the executive office.
Okay.
I didn't know Ohio State had an extension office.
I didn't.
No, don't get me started. I'll tell everybody about this. Yeah, Ohio State is like what's called land grant college, and every state has a land grant college, and the purpose of the land grant college is to be a research-based institution, that then trickles that information to the community, so they have resources out in the community, and that's what the
Okay.
extensions office are. So like Cornell is a community with land grant college, they have something like an extension office. Every state has.
I didn't know.
I did not know that.
That's my alma mater.
Oh,
It is it? That's where my daughter wants to go.
Well,
Ohio
it's
State.
funny because like everything I have is supposed to do for work. I'm like, oh, you know. I don't, I don't get it. then I'm like, well, then the fact like you went to OSU, but you didn't know about that. Well, I can't tell how many people don't know about it.
Yeah, the majority, probably.
Probably, yeah. I learned about it because I did the National Gardener thing, and then that's how I got the job, because I was there so much.
Oh, okay.
Like, the concept and everything. It's mostly agriculture
Okay.
and, like, animal sciences. You need your certificate for the service, and then
That's my youngest one,
for those,
undergrad and law.
Both at OSU? Where'd your oldest go?
She started out at Ohio State, went to UD, graduated from UD, got her master's from, John Hopkins in DC. She's kind of international,
Okay,
kid there, so she's been all over the world.
nice.
my kid graduated Friday, and I'm like, just give them your benefits, what do you want to do?
Yeah, you would?
Oh, you get half off? Oh, that's,
I get cool. I just finished my first semester, one more class, I have the water.
Yeah.
And she's like, taxes on it.
yeah, master's is taxable.
It's all calculated.
I know, my dad's a retired cop from UC, so I went to UC for, which is why I
Yeah.
know UC. There was no other option.
Yeah, right. I got you.
You know, what's sad though is that I was one of 4 kids and I was the only one that went to college, and we all had a free education.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Well, this is the struggle because my kid got free ride in Miami, we can have the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You did not get to look at it.
Yes, absolutely.
Someone just pushed through. Yeah.
Kids don't understand how important that is.
My youngest had 4 rides at Ohio State, the undergrad.
Yeah,
They both pick after my wife.
they're really smart. They're.
Absolutely not. They both pick after her and Wilson is smart. I ended up at the lower end of the team.
I'm sure they got their cunning from you.
With that,
They got all of their cunning from.
they got nothing from me, thank God.
My daughter wants, she wants to go to OSU, but she wants to join the military so she can go for free. Like, do 4
Yeah.
years and then,
They got a big program up there.
yeah,
For
and, she wants to do aviation, so she wants to go into the Air Force and then get her college degree from there.
Oh, after
Go
she
right
goes.
up the street.
Yeah,
Got it.
Oh. Right, Pat?
yeah, well, she could, well, I'm not, I mean, she's only a freshman, so she hasn't decided, but she's,
High school?
yeah, she applied to the aviation program at Butler Tech. So then if she gets in, she was thinking about doing like the Air Force, is it the Honor Guard or something? It's like the reserve, it's like the reserves for the Air
Okay.
Force. And you can do that while you're going to college, and they pay for it, as long as you get to like 4 or 8 years, whatever after, so. I'm like, that would save mommy some money, for sure. OSU's fairly expensive, isn't it? Well, I don't think,
Not compared, no, it's
yeah, I was
not.
gonna say, I didn't think it was too bad until you add room and board, and they, since they're required to stay on campus the first year,
I don't know.
Actually, it's the first 2 years now.
first 2 years,
It started, it was like 2 years, and then there were so many kids that they had to kick them out, so it was only a freshman.
okay,
So my daughter went for freshman year, and then the following year is when they started bringing in sophomores back in.
okay,
But those dorms, they're like alcohol.
are they?
Oh my God. They're beautiful.
No, see,
Can't beat that.
this one class was like $1,600. That's a lot for one.
Yeah, I didn't think the college was too expensive, because I remember looking, it was like 12 or something, 12,000, which, I mean, I paid that for my kid to go to Baden. That wasn't bad,
Right.
then when you do the room and board, it was like double,
That's when it, yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh.
And then your meal plans.
Yes,
You know.
parking probably, well, you ain't not have car. I heard you ain't not have
I
cars.
don't think it's a, I don't know because she didn't have one.
Okay,
I think that's true from what I remember. People, I guess we ran my daughter left for college. I think you're not. Even at Miami, I don't think we were allowed.
Usually they won't allow freshmen, not every college does.
I think she may have had an
I can't even imagine.
No,
Going to one of those games, so. they,
Maybe because like we had a situation where I don't know where her mom had been. I think she had to, like, she got some kind of pass. I'm gonna ask her. With our relative extension, but then we're inside of the election book.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I did not know that.
He will be one day.
Before we get started, I want Joel to have Chuck, you gonna put the date in the title?
Let me put it on.
Okay.
Do I have an official one? Is this mine?
It's the
Yeah.
official term. Where's that 2-5?
158159. Are we talking the resolution?
The date of, the
Oh.
date he starts with.
I don't know. What did you guys decide? February 5th.
Recording?
You got a date?
Yeah, recording.
2-5.
59.
Okay, we are back from executive session at 7:25. Ms. Schultz, we call the roll.
Trustee Birding,
Present.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Here.
Trustee McAbey.
Here.
Okay, I move to amend the agenda to add right after executive session, Resolution 23-159, resolution authorizing the appointment of full-time Fire Chief Ryan Berter to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an annual salary of $115,000, effective date hire of 2/5/2024.
Second.
Any discussion?
This is adding it to the.
This is just adding it to the agenda. Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding,
Yes,
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
and that motion is adopted.
motion to adopt.
Second.
There's a first and a second, a motion to adopt Resolution 23-159. Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes, and that resolution is adopted. Congratulations. Okay, the next item on our business is old business, items for board discussion. Before we move into that, you guys going to stick around? Okay. All right, the first item is set an organizational meeting. Possible date would be January 9, 2024 at 7 PM. How does that work on everybody's calendar? That would be the second, I believe, the second Tuesday of January. And we must have that completed by the 15th.
That's fine.
Okay, we will set that organizational meeting for January 9, 2024 at 7 PM.
Then will we have the regular trustee meeting to follow?
Yeah. Usually 2 different meetings, right?
I mean, you'll set that at the organizational meeting. So if
Well, we
you,
could set the first meeting in, right?
yes.
We can set the first meeting as January 9th as well. And then we'll do the rest of the schedule. Okay, next item is ARPA, resolution regarding additional funding from Butler County for project needed. I think this was when we were talking about doing something in the Belmont area. Is that correct? Is that what this
This-
is about?
no, this one is a little different. This is an additional 300,000 that the county gave us toward each township towards paving, but it can only be used for paving.
Okay.
So they need a resolution passed and sent to them as soon as possible, saying that you accept the funds.
Is this different from the last? I thought we got some money from them this past year, 2023.
We did, and they're
This is the
Second round.
Additional federal tax dollars.
correct.
Okay, and so,
Also there was another 150,000 that we need to decide what we're going to use.
There, yes, that is to be used in an underserved area. So we came with some ideas, mainly in the 5 Point area.
okay, I thought that was what we were talking about here, but no, it's not, right?
Correct, 2 different things.
Okay,
So we're going to talk about that also now, or?
well, let's talk about the additional funding that we're getting that we didn't know we were getting, the 300,000. That could be used for paving. So are you recommending we spend that on paving this calendar year? Does that have to be spent this calendar year? Do we have to have a resolution to accept the money?
It's being spent next year. we're going to take it into fund, the ARPA fund,
Mhm.
but we need to send a resolution verifying that we're accepting the money.
Well, I don't think we need a resolution. We just need a project.
Don't we have a resolution in here?
That's for the paving.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
the
different.
paving.
Two
Oh.
different projects.
All right.
The paving,
We're
the
talking
paving,
about paving right now.
paving, okay, then yes, there's a resolution for that coming.
And so we did have a pretty hefty paving bill for this coming year, so from that 300,000 be applied to that.
Yes.
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 So we just need a resolution on the agenda to accept that money.
Which we
Yes,
have.
we have one on.
We have.
And then there is the additional 150,000 funding, and that we have to have some kind of project associated. It does not, it has to be high level. It doesn't have to be down to the detail. But Chuck and I discussed some different ideas, and those ideas included maybe another type of playground in addition to the current playgrounds. You could tag on to what's already being done with curb and gutter. I think it could be used for housing, but I don't know that that would cover all the cost.
So what are the ideas that you have?
So area wise, it has to be in the 5 Point area. So Parks and Recreation is general enough for the motion at this time. Or just public infrastructure would be general enough of a project.
Would streetlights be a good thing over there? Some additional streetlights?
I think that all goes under the infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, that all, there's definitely a need for that type of stuff. But that doesn't go very far. The problem with paving in that area is it needs there's the need for curb work all over the place. And kind of how those projects are, it's you can get a block done for about $400,000.
Most of our community development, when we put in those sewer projects, are like $400,000. So 150 isn't, right. And that's where Parks and Recreation, lighting, curbs, paving. If we want to add additional, that's what that would look like.
When do you need a decision for this?
Today. Right, Shelley? Yeah.
We-
Yeah, and
we
again, it
just
could
have to
be general.
Yeah, we just have to send this sheet to the county saying the project name so that we can be entered into their system. So as we spend money, I can record it in their system.
Can we use, we are getting ready to start the playground over there. Can we use this money to cover the cost of that
Well,
playground?
We can contribute to that.
Look, that's CDBG money, right?
Correct.
It
We
is.
have a matching amount we have to put in.
Was it 10%?
Yeah, there was a match to it. I don't remember the
10%,
number,
I think.
but it
So
was, several tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so that was what I said before, is maybe we could do the math for the playground and for the curb and gutter that we're doing. That probably could still,
right, right,
23 hadn't happened yet, right?
correct.
So, see if we could use it for something like that.
That's great.
There's also some, when you get this complaint about the alleyways, it's probably not dedicated, but it would be a huge benefit in some places if we could find some way to help the people. Some of them, that's the only way they have access to a house. And I don't know, this money would be great if we could use it somehow to help some of those blocks where, when it rains real bad, you don't have to wash it out.
So currently there are alleyways that have gravel washed onto them and people cannot get to their houses. Is that?
The street, nets up there, but I know they've been here several times over the
Mhm.
years.
Yeah, there's a one off of Imlay. Is it up on the hill?
That sounds right.
Is that the one you think of?
It's, again, that's.
It's on
how
private.
Some of them, they have access to that house because of the slope of the property. But it continues to wash out whatever gravel they can find somebody to help
Yeah.
them with. You know, I don't know if that's something we could use this money for, but it seems like to be a perfect example of helping somebody that needs help.
I mean, I think miscellaneous public improvements, public infrastructure improvements, would that be an appropriate title? I mean,
Or we could just say Belmont, or, you know, instead of miscellaneous, Belmont,
don't,
something
Yeah.
like that.
Belmont infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
And then I like all those ideas as far as, I mean, it's eventually it's gonna be the same pot of money anyway, but we can identify it that way. And then we could use the money we were gonna spend on those projects on something else, right? So
Mhm.
I think if the law director, the assistant law director agrees with the language, I think Belmont infrastructure projects would be ideal for us.
That language sounds fine. Do you need a motion? Or
No.
it's just okay? Yeah, that language sounds fine.
And there is a resolution 23-151 deals with the money for paving. The next item is 2024 curb and gutter replacement program.
6 bids were received. Jackson came in as the most competitive at $318,648.56. So we have not reached out to them. Wanted to bring it before the board first.
And what do we know about Jackson Construction? Anything?
Jeff probably knows some stuff. I don't know
Yeah,
much. We've used them before.
So, yeah, Jeff and I are planning on meeting later this week to review all the bids, make sure that the affordable one is going to be the best one for us. And we were going to present our recommendation to you guys in January. And the contractors realize that's kind of what our plan is.
I know we used Alita last year, but they're 90 grand more than the least expensive, I guess I should say. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, they're 4 cheaper bids than them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know we've used Jackson in the past.
Yeah, I mean, if we've used them in the past and we're happy with their work, I don't see why we wouldn't select them again.
Well, I understand you and Mr. Bennett are gonna need to talk about cost performance for these different companies and to see what would be the best sense.
Yep.
Anything else from the board? Okay, the next item is communication. We have anybody signed up? Nope. Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. TID, Trustee McAbey.
We wrapped up the year last week, basically moving money from one account to the other, just to make things the way it should be for the end of the year. Got a brief update on some of the other things. It looks like we'll have a busy year next year with the project, American Road and North Hamilton Crossing. The railroad crossing on Sims Road, the paving of Tylersville. So it's the calm before the storm. Plenty of things happening.
Rock and roll.
If you guys are not getting the agendas, I suggest you get your email out there so you can get them.
Okay.
So you can stay tuned. We're going to change the dates. We had a similar problem in the last quarter of the year with holidays and things like that. So we're going to stay with the second Monday for a while, but then we're going to have some different dates later on in the year. That's all I have.
Any questions for trustee McAbey? Okay, trustee Harkemaier, EMA, OKI, and Clout.
Okay, on EMA, we met this afternoon. They presented the strategic plan to the board. The key objectives for that. Objective number 1, to continue to develop Butler County's emergency management program through EMAP accreditation. Objective 2, improve the administration of the Butler County Emergency Management Agency through increased focus on fiscal responsibility. And objective 3, to continue to develop staff through training, education, and certification. I will leave this. There's also a number of directors' priorities that focus on mitigation, preparedness, recovery, and response. So that was presented to the board this afternoon. They also signed a contract to continue storage at the fairgrounds, and also I think staff is already aware of this, but they did approve $440,000 in grants that will be funded with this resolution.
That's great.
All right, concerning OKI, I have nothing to update since the November meeting. There is no official OKI meeting in December. They usually cancel it due to the holiday month. However, I have been asked to sit on the nominating committee, so I'll be going down there on Thursday anyway to assist with that project. And then also with OKI, I've been asked to facilitate another planning session that's going to be focusing on bringing in engineers from across the region to look at what their feedback would be for OKI in the future. So that'll be happening, I believe, in February. And nothing to report on that.
Okay, any questions for trustee Harkemaier? Okay, under other, I just want to report that Mr. Goins and I met with the Fairfield Township JED board yesterday. And in 2023, we racked in a whole $29.37. So
It's actually $23.
I'm sorry, $23.79. But the discussions that were talked about insurance and how that gets paid and what have you. So until money is generated, the trustees may need to transfer money in January to pay the insurance bill, which is around $1,900. So we'll have to make some kind of transfer into the JED fund or the JED checking account to pay that insurance bill, and then it'll just be reimbursed back to us once the JED money comes in. So we'll have to do that on a motion in January to pay the bill that's due in January. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Next item is fiscal officers' recommendations and reports. Ms. Schultz?
Just two things tonight. Right now, the audit for 2022 is on hold. The auditor's office had to take us off the list for a few minutes and get to something else, and they said after December 15th that they'll start back up. So it might be a while before we see that. The other thing is we did get red money in on November 20th of $151,000. That's all I have.
Okay, the next item is recommended motion to suspend reading of the minutes of the following meeting. Trustee special meeting, November 14th, 2023. Trustee regular meeting, November 14th, 2023. Is there a motion to suspend?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
Trustee Burning.
Yes, that motion is approved. I move to approve the minutes from those two meetings. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, you call the roll, please?
Trustee Burning.
Yes,
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
that motion passes. Next item is motion to approve payment of the bills by the fiscal office.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey.
Yes.
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Burning.
Yes, and that motion passes. Administrators report. Ms.
Thank you.
Vonderhaar?
Thank you. The first item I sent an email about the letter of support for the hospital. I don't know if any of you had time to read that, but basically Mercy Fairfield received a grant and they're going to change the way they do business. So they have asked for a letter of support. I did not want to send that out without, on behalf of the board, without you knowing and being okay with that. So it's basically to support Mercy Fairfield's graduate medical education program.
I'm perfectly fine with sending out a letter of support. I think it's good to have good quality hospitals in the area and then good quality healthcare professionals, and this will definitely help with that. I think it's just saying we're supporting them by getting that grant. It's not costing us any money.
Correct. And the way they explained it is they'll transition from a community hospital to a community teaching hospital, and they'll play a significant role in educating and training physicians of the future.
Did they say where the grant came from?
Multi-million dollar investment. Let's see if it says where the grant came from.
Sounds like they want to start training their own employees, which other places have done.
It says state capital funding through Butler County, so they're submitting to, as part of the grant application process, we're being asked to submit letters of support from key community members, partners, constituents, and residents.
But they already have the grant.
So they said they're applying for the state capital funding.
Okay.
So they're asking if we, I didn't want to send a letter, like I said, of support.
I don't see any problem with making that letter of support.
Okay. Okay, and then other than that, I just wanted to say we've had a great 2023. We're ending strong. Team, I can't give enough accolades. Recently, Chuck, I heard from a resident, we talked for about 45 minutes, and she said that we changed the way she views government. There was a light pole, there was an accident outside of actually the Birding's house and across the street.
On Thanksgiving.
And a light pole was not properly fixed, and when the resident called for help, Chuck was out, and it just so happened that the county was also out at the same time, and within the hour, she had resolution. She told me that she has talked to many people that said, oh, good luck calling the township, and she said, I am floored, and I am so happy, and so I invited her to stop by and introduce herself, but she was just so, we're receiving so much of that, including, you saw what Chief Shabali received today from an intern. Chief Thomas he was instrumental in the recent holiday lights. So Jeff Bennett, you've seen the things he's doing with the garbage pickup. They're all taking initiative, and for 2024, even though we've come far, I still love that we're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
So I just wanted to thank all the employees and the board. It's just been a fantastic and great 2023, and we're ending strong, but 2024 is going to be better. That's all I have.
Any questions for Mrs. Vonderhaar? Okay, maybe we have the first resolution, please.
Resolution 23-149, approving open purchase order balances.
Motion to adopt.
A second. Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, we call the roll, please.
Trustee McAbey?
Yes.
Trustee Birding?
Yes,
Trustee Harkemaier?
Yes.
and that resolution is adopted. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 23-150, approving the 2024 annual invoice payment in the amount of $14,852 to the Miami Valley Regional Crime Laboratory.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
Any questions or comments for the police chief?
And this, we're paying next year's fee.
And payment hold about the same or go up a little bit, or is it like bread? It's way up.
If I recall, it's about the same this year.
Okay.
Maybe slightly higher, but not much.
Great. All right, thank you, chief. Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes?
Trustee Birding.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Can we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 23-151, authorizing Township Administrator to accept from Butler County Commissioners federal funds pursuant to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 to be used for the repair and resurfacing of roads within Fairfield Township, and that amount is $300,000.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Any questions or comments?
This is what we discussed earlier.
We just discussed it. Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey.
Yes?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes, and that resolution is adopted. Can we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 23-152, amending the 2023 permanent appropriations.
Motion to adopt?
Second, any questions or comments?
Looks like we're changing the safety service money.
For salaries.
Yes, to pay the salaries.
And that's what, the first quarter, we're really looking to cover the first quarter.
No, the rest of this year. I've appropriated enough in 2024. I did not appropriate enough for 2023, considering the changes in salaries recently.
How much did we have appropriated in that category? Do you have that?
Yes, for
Here
2023.
somewhere.
I do. Give me a minute.
2,112,000. $3,698,000.
For safety service, I have.
2191, right?
Yeah, 2191. Well, they're appropriated in two different places. So for salaries for police, I had 800,000. Salaries for fire, 850,000.
And so this 300,000 will go where?
It'll be for fire. Police has enough to get through the rest of the year. Fire needs additional money to pay the two payments and the two payrolls in December.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
Yes?
Trustee Birding.
Yes, and that resolution is adopted. May we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution number 23-153, adopting the 2024 permanent appropriations by attached fund totals for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2024.
I move that we adopt 23-153.
Second?
Any questions or comments?
Somebody want to take us through it, general terms?
Sure. There's copies in the back if anyone would like to follow along, but basically, we're appropriating the full amount in every fund except for general fund and the JED fund. Together, I've left about 5.1 million unappropriated to get through first quarter. And other than that, I guess the things that stick out the most are we're appropriating for the first time since I've been here, money out of the JED, which is $250,000 for the Seward Road improvements that we've committed to. As always, the same as in the past, most of the capital projects are not on here. I have the departments, Mrs. Vonderhaar and I got capital projects from them that they're going to ask for, but they're not appropriated. They'll just ask for them throughout the year, and we'll have contingency money to cover that if they're approved. I budgeted in the TIF the same as I always have for bond payments, interest, which is going to be soon going down. City, the school's payment for the TIFs, their percent. I did appropriate all the rest of the ARP funds so we can spend that next year. Almost all of it's going to paving though. And I can't think of any other big highlights.
And right at the very beginning, you said you appropriated 250,000
Yes,
out of the JED,
yes.
and that's going where?
The money we committed for, I thought it was the roundabout, but then I was told it was Seward Road improvements. Is that right, Mr. Goins?
This is the
Is
road
that right?
improvement into
Yeah,
the
okay.
development. That was part of that developer deal.
Yeah, we borrowed that money, right?
No,
We didn't borrow $800,000? There were no bonds sold?
We're using TIF money to pay that back, I thought.
Using TIP money to pay that back. I guess that's why I'm confused why we'd be spending JED money down there. I mean, it was supposed to be, the bond was supposed to be issued and capitalized and
I'm
pay
not.
for
Was that with the Port
reimbursement of
Authority or
road.
something? I'm not aware of that. Did the two, was it 250?
We also covered that 250, but there was a bond that was supposed to cover the 800,000 plus. The bond was over $1 million. So,
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, the way I understood it is that was our contribution to the project, and we shouldn't be spending money. I mean, appropriating is one thing,
Okay.
but spending it is something else, because by a 2-to-1 vote, we agreed to borrow the money, and
Okay. I'm not,
We don't need it.
I don't think I was
You have
involved in that at
do
all.
you have an account set up for that to receive the proceeds of the bond?
No,
Port Authority's not holding that money, are they?
I thought they were.
The Port Authority is the
I
pass-through.
think that's all going through the Port
Yeah, they're the
Authority, not
depository.
us.
Yeah.
So we need to have some way of tracking that on our end, Shelley,
Okay.
whatever you need to do.
Okay.
As far as the expenses.
Okay, well, just because it's appropriated, right? We don't have to spend it, so.
No, I think you're right. It was a bond, so I don't think we will need to. But the problem is, I don't know how, I'd have to read the agreement because I don't know that the TIF will generate enough money initially, so I don't know.
That's
If
why
we
we
have a-
capitalized the interest on it. We
Right.
capitalized the first couple of years of payments, didn't they?
True,
Larry?
yes, we did.
But we should still have some way, even if they're tracking it, we want a monthly report on what's going on.
Okay.
And we still didn't appropriate any, well, we appropriated 1.4 million of RID money, but we don't have a project.
It's all in contingencies, so if you guys decide to spend it, if not, that's fine too. We do that every year.
Any other comments? I just want to thank Ms. Schultz for meeting with me and explaining a lot of the processes. Appreciate that very much.
No problem.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. Can we have the roll, please?
Trustee Birdie,
Yes,
trustee McAbey,
Yes?
trustee Harkemaier,
Yes,
that resolution is adopted. Can we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 23-154, approving the school compensation agreement.
motion to adopt.
I will second as part of the discussion. Any questions about this?
Why are we doing it?
Yeah, go ahead.
We
So
need-
154 and 155 relate to each other if, and Larry, you're the law director, but if you want to weigh in
I'm happy
legally.
to explain it.
Yeah.
In the budget bill that was recently passed, they slipped in this provision, effective October.
I'm sorry, did you say slipped in?
They did,
Now,
nobody
make sure your microphone's on so we can get this all on the tape.
No, it was on.
It was on. The legislature slipped in this provision that amended Ohio Revised Code 5709.51, which allowed public agencies that had TIFs that produced $1.5 million or more in revenue to extend those TIFs for another 30 years, but they had to extend them on or before December 31st of this year. The new regulation, which went into effect October 3rd, sunsets on December 31st. So in order to do that, Fairfield Township has this TIF that is the subject of this resolution. There was a debate, excuse me, among a number of lawyers as to whether or not there had to be a 45-day notice period to the schools. It was concluded to be safe. There should be a 45-day notice period to the schools, and that's 45 business days, which does not run until the last few days of December. So it would not have run as of the date of this meeting. In the past, the legislation makes it mandatory that we make the school district whole anyway. So the school compensation agreement makes the school whole, which is something that we have to do under the legislation anyway in order to extend the TIF. And at the same time, the school waives the notice provision, so you can vote on it today and not have a special meeting week between Christmas and New Year's. That's essentially what the school compensation agreement does.
And this is the Princeton Road tip. This is the original one. And how much money does it generate each year, Charlie?
2.7, I think. It's like 2.5 to 3.
That sounds about right. I can tell you exactly, for 2023, we got 837, the second half,
837,000.
yes. In the first half, we got I can't read, I think 1.9. Yeah, 1955, so.
$1.9 million.
Yeah, so about 2.7-ish. Is that about
What I
right?
said,
Yeah.
yeah.
$2.7 million.
Mhm.
And then we had to make the school district whole. And what percentage is that?
That one is 25% because it was put in before. The other ones are 63.3 to make them whole.
So which applies to this?
We're going to be making them whole now. It would be the higher percent.
It'll be,
Okay, so 63.3.
That's part of the statute.
So you said 63 points.
3.
So, when that TIF was originally done, it was done for a purpose, a project. And what's the purpose of this 30-year extension?
Well, what are some of the things that the TIF can pay for?
Well, we added some language to the purpose to allow you to pay for safety services and some things of that nature that are now permissible under TIFs that were not permissible under TIFs back in 2001.
So we still don't have a project. I mean, again,
No, it's not
to
a
me,
project.
the TIF account, which is what we've used in other places, was to pay for infrastructure that would support the development of the area. And that's already been done. So, again, I would say, why would we want to extend it 30 more years?
what about the old firehouse?
That's clearly a policy decision. The reason
I realize that.
The reason I brought it to you was we had a very limited window, and you could not even have considered it at this meeting if we didn't get the notice out to the school. We did, but obviously that's all.
And would you say slid in, what was your word? It
The
slid,
the legislature slipped it in.
slipped it in.
Nobody knew this was coming. In
Somebody
fact,
knew it was coming. Some lobbyists knew it was coming.
well, lobbyists have been meeting with the legislature to try to get the government to put this in. And
they
nobody,
did.
but
They
nobody knew
worked.
it was coming.
Yeah.
So,
And the budget was only 9,000 pages. So I'm
right,
sure there were some people voting for the budget because they wanted that other stuff to happen, but this went along with it.
right. So it became, this went into law October 3rd of this year. I became aware of it on October 10th. And that's why, when that happened,
So it was your idea.
it was my idea to set this all in motion, but it's totally up to you. You know, in terms of infrastructure, some of it is to maintain the infrastructure that's there, some of it's to repair infrastructure that's already been put up, some of it would be to pay safety service people, things of that nature. That would be the purpose. The original reason for the TIF, that infrastructure was put in, but there's always additional things that need to be done. This is the only opportunity you're going to have.
We don't know that.
No,
It could be in the next budget too.
You're right.
It could be in the budget after that.
You're right.
We've got 8 more years on this, right, Shelley?
Yeah,
7 or 8?
2001, so till 31, so 8, yes.
So again, if we pass this, starting next year, we're gonna make the school district whole. We're gonna get less money for the next 7 years than we would if we just left it the way it is.
Think so? Yes.
Don't get me wrong. How much debt do we have carried on this? 3 years?
I don't know that offhand.
2
but
years?
It's done in 2024.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years left?
Mhm.
1 year.
We have,
2 expire in 2024, 1 in 2025, and 1 in 2027.
yep,
So 3 years.
So I'm sorry, I thought this was extending it, once it ends, extending
It
it
is.
30 more years.
It is.
And so we'll still be, for the next however many years, 8 years, we're still collecting, and they only get 25%. Once this extends, then they start collecting the 63% or whatever.
That was one of my questions about it. I read it the way you read it, 30 more years.
That's
But I
the
was
way it's
concerned-
intended. I think that's the way it's intended.
So it's
30 more
gonna,
years.
it's gonna stay the same way it is right now until the current 30-year
It's up.
period extends. And then after that, we get 30 more years on that where we get the lower rate.
Right.
But nothing is changing now
That's my
for the
understanding.
next,
I wasn't aware it was only at 20% at this point.
okay. So that's gonna stay the same for the next, until the first 30-year term is over.
Right.
And then after that, the following 30 years, we get a lower rate than we're getting now.
Correct.
Well, we would pay a higher rate to the school district, maybe getting less money, right?
After the 30
What's the
years.
value, what's the value of that property now? What's the new value for 2024?
I don't know that offhand.
If you want to get back with us on that later, that's fine.
Because it should increase with the value.
I don't know.
You know how much total money we received off of that in the 23 years?
You could get us that information
do.
later too, if you like. That might be hard for you to get right this instant.
Should be
but
right
it's-
there on your Excel at the bottom.
No, it doesn't have the total, but I do, we do have to report the TIFs annually to the state of Ohio, a cumulative total. So I do have that.
If you can get that to us later, that would be great.
You know, if we had a project that we knew we were going to do, it would make sense that sometime in the next 8 years or 7 years, we would consider doing something like that. But sitting here today, I mean, where does that money, where does it come from now? In other words, where would it go if we didn't have it? I'm in favor of just, I don't know what the correct term is, but ending the TIF. Just end it.
Letting it expire.
Yeah, expire, but I either let it expire or stop it before. I mean, clearly we only have 3 more years, so you give or take, and let the money go where it should be going, which is everywhere, right? The school district, the county,
The various,
the JVS,
yes,
the
library.
fire, the police, the road department.
The
all of
parks.
all of those places, right, is where that $2.7 million would go.
But not all of it, we would still collect some of it.
We would go where it was supposed to go.
Right.
You're right. We would still be recipients of
Right.
some of that money, but instead of it, and again, what that looks like to me is every property owner in Fairfield Township would see a nice tax reduction. And across the county, they would see something they probably couldn't measure. But every one of those jurisdictions that's paying property taxes, that money would go back to where it belongs.
I thought the money still gets collected, it's just how it's distributed is in the TIF.
It
So
is, but when it ends, it will go where it belongs. And I'm in favor of ending it in 2 or 3 years.
But the property owners and the businesses will still pay the tax. They're not getting a tax break.
Well,
It's just where the money
the
goes.
fire and police levies are only going to raise the same amount of money. So in effect, in the real world, it should reduce everybody's individual taxes on those types of levies, right?
Larry, can you elaborate on that, please?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's going to, I didn't think it would have an effect on the amount of taxes that people pay if you end the tip. But I don't know I can't tell you the answer. I do not know that. My answer, if you had asked me, my answer would have been, the people still are gonna pay the same amount of taxes, it's just distributed differently. What Joe said
That's
about,
definitely not right.
what
Go
Joe
ahead.
said about the levies and the effect that, I know the levies stay the same, collect the same amount of money. I don't know how the tax money would be distributed. If Ken were here, he could explain that, but that's something I don't know.
Well, that's roughly $2 million that's going to go, and we know we're not going to get any more money. So that means that less taxes spread across all the property taxes.
So we would, and right now we're using that money, remember, we're paying off debt with it, right? And then we're using it for salaries and benefits.
We're not supposed to be using it for salaries.
I'm just asking.
Well,
Or
hold on
not.
a second. I have a question for Larry, because I think I heard you say a minute ago that they changed some legislation so that now we can use that money to pay for safety service salaries.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I can use it to pay my first responders, police and fire going forward.
Yes.
So I can use that to pay my salaries and
Safety service.
for safety services for fire and police. And we know that those are costs that are those are gonna keep going up. We have raises, we have people that we have to pay to work here. So I can use that money to pay for salaries. And then wouldn't it also be a good idea to do that? Because then perhaps I can push a direct levy that I would have to ask my citizens to pay for further down the road. Because we would have that extra money to pay for these first responder salaries.
That's
Is
a
that
policy
correct?
decision, right there.
Yeah, but you're right on the law.
Right, it did change, because we've had this conversation on every TIF we've done since then.
Right,
Because this TIF, it's not allowed to do that.
correct. The law has changed. And that's, so when we put in the extension language, we put that into the purpose part of the tip for the extension.
I thought that on the current TIF, we could use this for first
Not
responders.
back at the time this one was passed.
But currently now we
Currently
can.
now,
So when
yeah,
it was
TIFs.
first put in, we could not, but there was a
Right.
change. And so it can be used for first responder salaries
Right.
now.
Right.
And then going forward for the next 30-year provision, it can be used for that too.
Correct.
Mr. Macri, just to answer your question, the cumulative amount is 42 million, the value of the property, 129 million,
So we've collected $42 million
For-
off that.
42 million. As of 12/31/22, that was the last annual report I've
Thank you
done.
for that.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? Now, let me state, as an employee of Butler Tech, I have to abstain from this vote. So the control is in the two of your hands, because Butler Tech would be a recipient of this. So I checked with,
Did you talk with
I
the
did, I
director on
checked
this?
before the meeting. I just wanted to make sure that I should abstain from this vote to have no influence one way or the other. Ready to call the roll?
we have a motion and a second?
Yeah, there was a motion second.
Yeah, that's right.
Ms. Schultz,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
abstain.
Trustee McAbey.
No,
Okay, so that fails.
So now, as far as the next resolution is concerned, for the extension of the TIF, that was contingent on being voted today on the passage of the school compensation agreement. So if you want to vote on that without the school compensation agreement, you'll have to have a special meeting between Christmas and New Year's.
Should I consider it tabled?
Well, we need a motion. It would take a motion to table it, but
So we need a motion to table this so that we can meet the week between Christmas and New Year's,
if that's what you decide.
so that we
you
can
want to do,
satisfy the waiting period.
Yes.
Okay, so I move to table 23-155.
Second,
and why are we not going ahead and voting on it?
Because
Because
we voided the
Oh,
45-day.
I see. School,
so we can't do it because we had to have the notice for the schools, so that would have kept it, so we could have voted on that tonight, but now we have to wait for the timeline, so we'll have to be meeting between Christmas and New Year's,
Right.
correct?
Okay, got it.
To vote on resolution, the next resolution for the TIP extension.
23-155. So, so there was a motion and a second to table 23-155. Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding.
Yes?
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes?
Trustee McAbey.
no,
Okay, resolution 23-155 is tabled. That motion passes. Can we have the next resolution, please?
Do we need a motion now to get a meeting on the agenda, or can we just set that? We don't need to do that,
You don't
right?
need to do
We
that
just
by
set that, okay.
Can we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution.
23-156.
23-156, authorizing the appointment of part-time firefighter EMT Jackson Hetteridge to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $18.50 with a 12-month probationary period.
rush to adopt.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes?
Trustee Birding.
Yes? And that resolution is adopted. And the next one, please. I'm sorry.
Resolution 23-157, authorizing the appointment of part-time firefighter EMT Brad Wargo to the Fairfield Township Fire Department at an hourly rate of $18.50 with a 12-month probationary period.
rush to adopt.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, can you call the roll, please?
Trustee McAbey.
Yes,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee Birding.
Yes, and that resolution is adopted. Can we have the next resolution, please?
Resolution 23-158, declaring nuisance and ordering abatement on the properties listed below, and further authorizing the zoning administrator to initiate complaint. And the property includes 6455 Taylor Trace Lane for vehicle parking.
I move to adopt resolution 23-158. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Birding.
Yes,
Trustee Harkemaier.
Yes.
Trustee McAbey.
yes,
and that resolution is adopted. So before we go into announcements, do we want to set a meeting date, or maybe, Mrs. Von der Hart, maybe you could reach out to the trustees and find out which dates they have available
Yeah.
that week to have a meeting. That way you can go through the holidays and, or we can talk about it right now. I mean, are you going to be in town? Mr. McAfee, are you going out of town for the holidays?
it's up in the air right now, Mr. President.
Okay. So I will be in town and I took the week off of work, so I'm happy to meet any day that week.
One thing I need to do, and I'll do this tomorrow, is I need to count 45 business days from the date we gave notice.
Okay?
I have the date we gave notice in my briefcase, but
I didn't, I knew it, this was not within 45 days, but I'm not sure the date that time runs. We gave notice on October 18th,
And it's business days,
45 business days.
no holidays don't count.
Weekends and holidays are not counted.
October the 18th, so 1, 2,
Do you count the 18th or not? No, you start with the 19th.
2.
Do you count today? Yeah, today counts.
I've got the 21st as the 45th day, and the only day I did not include is Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
Veterans-
was a
Veterans Day.
Saturday.
Veterans
That
Day.
was a Saturday. So that shouldn't count, right?
There's a holiday for Veterans Day though.
Yes.
Monday or Friday was a holiday.
Okay, so then that'd be the 22nd would be the 45th day. I took off Veterans Day and Thanksgiving Day.
Okay.
So we might want to do it, I mean, that's a Friday, we don't want to do it after Christmas. That should be it.
Friday's a Saturday, isn't it? No, Friday, the 22nd is Friday.
The 22nd is a Friday. See if you guys agree.
So it's got to be at least after the 45 days.
Right,
So if we did on the 26th, we're cushioned, even if
yes.
Veterans Day doesn't count as a holiday. I mean, if the 10th doesn't count as a holiday.
I'd prefer the 27th or 28th.
So are you going to be able to vote on this one, Mr. Birding?
I believe so, because it's not an agreement with the schools. That's my understanding.
That would be, I think that would be my understanding too. I'll look at that in the interim, but I would say you can vote on this one, just not a direct agreement with the school. Because the school's amount that they're going to get from the extension is fixed by statute. It's not by any resolution that we do.
So if the millage on the school district goes up over the next 15 years, then our compensation would go up accordingly, right?
I check it each year.
So I think
You have to give notice to the newspapers.
we should set it for Wednesday. Do you want to have it like in the morning so that we don't have to come back in the evening? We can be with family.
Mornings would be great on the
Could
27th.
you do the morning, Joe? Are you working that week?
26 is a whole lot better for me.
I really can't do the 26th.
What about the 28th?
I can do the 28th.
What about the 25th?
25th, I'm available. The further we get away from Christmas, the less likely I'll be available.
Okay.
So,
The 27th doesn't work.
At 9 o'clock or 8:30.
I'm right down the street, so pick what time.
Let's do 8:30.
Okay.
8:30 on the 27th.
8:30 and the 27th. And it'll be a special meeting.
Right.
Okay.
So we have to give notice to the paper, time, place, and purpose.
Purpose is to consider legislative for the TIF.
Put the title of the TIF resolution.
And that's all that can be talked
Purpose
about,
to
though, right?
consider, yeah.
And if the TIF passes, should I have the school compensation agreement back on?
No.
No?
This would be,
Well,
we
by
don't need to,
contract, we have to make them whole.
by statute.
Yes.
Right. This was to waive the 45 days.
Yeah.
That's why we could vote on it today.
Okay, announcements. Offices are closed for Christmas Eve holiday, December 22nd. Offices are closed for Christmas Day holiday, December 25th, 2023. Offices closed for New Year's Day holiday, January 1st, 2024. The Fairfield Township will have a special meeting on Wednesday, December 27th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m. And the Fairfield Township Board of Trustees organizational and regular meeting would be Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Board member comments? Mr. McAbey?
I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, safe holiday.
Trustee Harkemaier?
Yeah, so I was speaking with Administrator Vonderhaar and staff members about potentially doing some more strategic planning to kind of get a perspective on where we want to go. And we talked about this a little last year, and I'd like to take another look at this going forward for this year. So for this particular session, I'd like to do a SWOT analysis where we look at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the township. Getting a cross-functional group of employees, some members of the community stakeholders together, and do a few-hour activity on that to kind of get some thoughts together for where we see Fairfield Township going in the future. I think it really makes sense for us to look at those 4 categories: the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'd like to do that with staff in January, so we can kind of get some thoughts together about what that would look like. And if fellow board members, if you'd like to put some thoughts together on that too, to submit, to be included within that, that would be fantastic. And we'll run that exercise in January, and then we'll have some report out on that in February.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to welcome Brian Berger. Guess not really back because you were an employee to begin with, but congratulations on being hired tonight as our next fire chief. I have full confidence in you and Chief Thomas to work together to formulate a great plan for 2024. So welcome. I have a few colleagues this week that are having their last elected officials meeting, including Vicki Hoppy, who has been a Sharonville City Council member for 18 years, and tonight was her last meeting. Linda O'Connor, 16 years on the Lakota School Board. Tonight was her last meeting. And Thursday is Belina Shorter's Fairfield City School District final meeting after 14 years. So thank you to those 3 fine women for all your service to our communities, and you will be missed. And then just one final thought, I just want to thank my colleagues and the staff here at Fairfield Township for all your love and support to our family this difficult time. That's all I have. So at this time, I move to adjourn. Is there a second? Any questions or comments? Ms. Schultz, we call the roll, please.
Trustee Birding?
Yes?
Trustee McAbey?
Yes.
Trustee Harkemaier?
Yes?
That motion passes. We adjourn at 8:27. Good night, everyone. Merry Christmas.